Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. We're going to get started in just a few moments. Thanks everyone so much for tuning in. It's about that time. So I want to be the first to welcome you to our SmartDepart travel series. This is brought to you today by AAA Travel. I'm Diana Imundi and I'll be your host this afternoon. I am thrilled to be here with everyone to continue our discussions on safe travel. Here at AAA, we are very focused on bringing our members the information that they need to ensure safety while traveling, and that means on the road, in the air, and on the seas. And today we are focusing on the latter. This session is all about cruising and what to expect regarding the new safety protocols aboard the ships, how to keep yourself and your loved ones safe as we get back to making travel plans again. We're all, I think, very much anticipating making travel plans again. And I'll introduce the members of our panel shortly, but just a bit of housekeeping here before we begin. And of course, first and foremost, thank you to all our AAA members for taking the time to be with us today, and also those who submitted questions for the panel ahead of time. We'll certainly get to the most frequently asked cruising questions that we've received from you at the end of the program, but please know that anytime is a good time to reach out to our AAA travel team. They are standing by to assist you. So if your question is not answered today, please just feel free to reach out to your trusted AAA travel agent. You can also visit your local branch or just visit us online on AAA.com/travel. And there's a lot of information on that website for you. And I just want to say I can personally attest to the fact that our beloved travel agents here at AAA have really moved mountains, especially in the last few months, for their clients. And they have reworked travel plans to ensure the best terms, the best value for our members. I think we all realize that we are all living in a rapidly changing environment. And thankfully, our agents have the resources and have the information to navigate all these changes and make adjustments when necessary based on the most up-to-date information and data. So today we have a panel of our trusted friends representing different arms of the cruise industry here to talk about safe travel and also best practices. And we're going to begin today with our first panelist, Charles Sylvia from CLIA, which stands for Cruise Lines International Association. And Charles is the Vice President of Industry and Trade Relations. He's been on the forefront as cruise lines have been working together with the CDC and so many other organizations so we can return safely to the seas. So Charles, thank you. And let's start off. Could you just share with us and with our members some of the work that's been going on behind the scenes in these last few months to ensure that cruises are safe?
Certainly, Diana. Thank you very much for having me on the call. I'd like to thank you and the leadership of AAA Travel for hosting me today and my esteemed fellow panelists. So many of you, or most of you on the call, will not be aware of what CLIA is. CLIA is, as Diana said, Cruise Lines International Association. We are the worldwide cruise industry trade association, and we have a vast community of more than 51 cruise lines, which include 17 river cruise operators as well, and as well as more than 53,000 travel agents throughout the world who work for more than 15,000 travel agencies. And so CLIA is at the forefront of working toward resumption of operation for cruising around the world. And as Diana said, we have what's called the CLIA Maritime Policy Team. CLIA Maritime Policy Team works in conjunction with the maritime policy teams at all of the cruise lines. Here in North America, we have 33 ocean-going cruise lines that we work with. All of those teams together working with the CDC and with other local and national public health authorities, as well as ports and destination cities, cruise terminal authorities, regulatory agencies, non-government organizations, and coast guards, as well as new technology providers, because as you can imagine, there's a lot of technology that's proven that we can put into play to help ensure the safety and well-being of passengers curb to curb, from the time that you arrive at the cruise terminal to the time that you return from your cruise having had a wonderful time. And all of the work that's being done presently is still under the guidance and supervision of the CDC. And I can tell you that the relationship that the cruise industry has with CDC is very positive indeed. We have worked closely with them for many, many years as part of their vessel sanitation program, which is the VSP, in which the cruise line, which pretty much regulates its own safety, security, health, and sustainability and well-being standards, has always been very transparent and had a wonderful working relationship with CDC, and CDC has always been pleased with that relationship. We continue to keep the dialogues open. We have compiled all of the enhanced protocol measures and standards, as well as all of the plans for a post-COVID cruising world. We have taken all of those 33 cruise lines and compiled their plans and submitted them to the CDC. We actually did that in 7 days. There were literally people on our team working around the clock to make that happen with all of the various maritime leaders at the cruise lines themselves. We're also government affairs. So we have the global government affairs team working again with local, federal, state, and local governments around the world. And bear in mind that we're not just talking the United States and Canada, certainly, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about every single country around the world where cruising activity occurs. So every one of those organizations that I mentioned when I was referring to maritime policy, as well as all of the local, state, or provincial and federal governments of every single country where cruising occurs. And my team and so the good news for me is that I get to work on the travel trade side of the business with travel advisors, travel agents, and I lead up the North American Travel Trade Membership Team, and it's my pleasure to do so. And we represent here in the United States and Canada 8,000 travel agencies and 34,000 individual agents. And so what we do is we help to educate them, we help to train them and certify them so that when you work with a travel agent at AAA Travel, if they're a clear certified travel agent, that you're working with someone who is truly an expert in the field that gives you peace of mind, making sure that your plans go exactly according to plan, and they can be your trusted travel expert. And I cannot stress this enough, ladies and gentlemen, and not just in a post-COVID world, but from the get-go, travel agents are the keel upon which cruising has been built. And they are responsible for 75% of all cruise bookings worldwide every single year. 75% of all cruises are booked through travel advisors, travel agents. And the statistics that we have on guest satisfaction show that there is far greater satisfaction to be gained from your overall, what we call the total cruise experience when you book through a travel agent. So for those of you on the call who book through your trusted AAA travel agent, I applaud you because you're booking the right way. There's no one who has the connections, no one who has the know-how and knows the ins and outs and intricacies of this business better than a CLIA certified travel agent. And so I'm glad for all of you who are doing that. And for those of you who may have been booking directly, pick up the phone, hit the keyboard and contact your AAA travel agent and book through them, because believe me when I tell you, there is so much value to be had and so much more satisfaction to be had by doing so. And really, I'd like to just close my comments by saying that The big question that everyone asks me every day, 100 times a day, is when will cruising resume? And the most responsible answer to that question is when the time is right. And we are working very closely. Many of you saw in late June that we did extend our voluntary suspension of operation through September 15th. We did that for a very, very specific reason. The CDC no sale order does end on July 24th. However, we thought that it would be prudent, especially given the current conditions in the United States in terms of the coronavirus, that it would be prudent and responsible to extend that to September 15th. And we are working very closely with the CDC to ensure that when we do resume cruising, that we do it the right way, the responsible way for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Charles. I mean, in less than 10 minutes, I learned so much from your comments. I really appreciate that. You know, there are just so many moving parts to ensure that cruisers can enjoy everything they love on board when we get back to that point while remaining safe, but just the amount of work that CLIA performs. You mentioned 17 river cruise operators, 33 ocean-going cruise lines, and it really comes down to intergovernmental relations at the same time. So I learned a lot. And VSP, I'm going to use that. Vessel Sanitation Protocols? Is that what it was?
Vessel Sanitation Program. Yes, and you can go on the CDC website and see the VSP and learn about all the terrific standards that already exist prior to COVID-19.
Wow, thank you so much. Very, very informative. You know, I know so many of us can't wait to get something scheduled again. You know, September 15th, I know will be the date on many people's minds. So thank you, but good commentary. Now we're going to pass it along to Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines and Lisa Falango, who is their Director of Sales. Lisa, thank you. One comment that we've been hearing, Lisa, is that Royal Caribbean just announced an impressive panel of health experts. Could you share some details about this initiative with our members?
Yes, well, hello everyone, and thank you AAA for having me and Royal Caribbean be a part of your SmartDepart series. And Diana, yes, I am thrilled to be able to bring to you our latest announcement that just came out on Monday, the debut of our Healthy Sail panel. Alongside Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, Royal Caribbean has assembled a talented team of experts tasked with reviewing and developing a comprehensive and multifaceted set of enhanced health and safety protocols to support the cruise industry's safe operational return. So I'll go into that a little bit more later in the presentation, but now I'd like to get everyone thinking about starting to plan that next cruise. So what we strive to promote to all of our guests that sail on our ships is explore the world. We offer itineraries ranging from 3 to 14 nights, sailing to destinations like the Caribbean, Alaska, Europe, and much more. And did you know we visit over 300 ports of call worldwide? Not only do we want you to see the world, but we want you to experience it. By inspiring adventures, we offer diverse worldwide excursions for families, foodies, action seekers, and culture seekers alike. We also take pride in serving all of our guests. We deliver world-class service by treating our guests just like family. So who are our guests? We are known for the multi-generational families, but our ships are designed to offer something for everyone, like couples and solos, the families, and of course, again, the multi-generational families. So when I mentioned that there's something for everyone, you may ask, what does that mean? The Royal Caribbean cruising lifestyle on board, you'll find we offer entertainment, signature activities, variety of dining options, themed lounges and nightlife, kids and teens programs and areas, fitness and spa areas for the health enthusiast, a wide variety of accommodations to choose from, private destinations to sail to, pool and outdoor amenities, and of course, the unsurpassed service. So now here, I want to show you our lineup of our beautiful ships. Starting with 1990, we came out with Empress of the Seas. And this is just really a fun fact. And I love showing this slide that shows the history and the timeline of our ships. So starting in 1990, we came out with Empress of the Seas, which right now is our smallest ship in the fleet. And it's hard to say it's small when it holds a little over 2,000 guests, all the way up to our newest classes of ship, Oasis class, and Quantum class that hold 4,000 and 5,000 in capacity. So all of our ships have features that are fleet-wide, but we also, broken down by class, have features that are class-specific. So we've got 27 ships in total and 6 different classes of ships. So now let me tell you a little bit more. Even though every ship has their own personality, some of the common features that you'll find fleet-wide are our rock climbing wall, our casino, our pools, our Adventure Ocean Youth Center. But on some of our different classes of ship, like the Oasis class, you'll find Central Park and Boardwalk and the Perfect Storm water slides. So there is a little bit of a difference depending on the ship that you choose to sail on. Now, it is your cruise and it's all about you and customizing your experience. You can choose from a variety of accommodations, including our Royal Suite Class program, giving you options to make your cruise either more inclusive or all-inclusive. So here you can enter at a junior suite and have some additional amenities, or you can go up to one of our Royal Loft suites, our Aqua Theater suites, or our Ultimate Family suite and create your cruise package to be all-inclusive, meaning it includes your beverage package, your Wi-Fi package, your gratuities, and much more. So again, creating the package that you're looking for your cruise experience. Now, no cruise would be complete if we didn't talk about dining, and there are many complimentary dining venues to choose from. You can choose from Sorrento's Pizza, our Park Cafe, El Loco Fresh, our Coastal Kitchen. Of course, I have to mention Windjammer because buffets are still very popular and our loyalty guests absolutely love them. And then, of course, our main dining room. And I do want to point out is that we still offer our traditional early and late seating dining, but we also offer flexibility. So if you're looking to dine in the main dining room, but at different times through the course of your cruise, you can do that as well. And we call that My Time Dining. Now, we're still not finished talking about dining options. There's even more options for those foodies or for those that just want a different dining experience. There's a wide variety of specialty dining to choose from, starting with our Chops Grill, that's our upscale steakhouse, to something more casual like Johnny Rockets. Or perhaps you want some sushi, you can go have an experience in the Zumi. And there's many options here that you can see. So whatever your palate desires, I guarantee you we have a specialty dining we can offer you. So lots of dining choices when you cruise on Royal Caribbean. Now, dining isn't all. We've got plenty of entertainment to keep you entertained. So when we talk about our entertainment, it will absolutely wow you. Our entertainment has a wide variety of Broadway shows on our main stage. And as you can see across the bottom of the screen there, across our entire fleet, there is a great Broadway series that we offer. But I do want to point out that we are the only cruise line who offers entertainment on 4 platforms. So on the main stage here, as you see, our Broadway series, but we also do ice shows. We also do aquatic shows in our Aqua Theater. And we also have aerialists that create entertainment in the air. So we do it on the stage, on the ice, in the water, and in the air. So I promise you, you'll be entertained and wowed all at the same time.
Wow.
Yeah, and we're going to keep going. So now we're going to talk a little bit about destinations. And even though we sail globally and you've got many choices to choose from, we do have our perfect day at Coco Cay, which gives you your private island destination. Now, Coco Cay is something that we reconstructed. We opened it last May. And we created the island to offer 2 different experiences. Part of the island is based on thrill, and the other island is based on chill. So you can create what it is that you think is your perfect day. So on the thrill side of the island, it is a water park, and you can see on the screen here that tall multicolored structure. That is the tallest water slide in all of North America, called Daredevil's Peak. So throughout the thrill water park, there's a variety of different slides. There's zip lining, there's a wave pool, there's different cabanas also if you want to kind of just hang out in that area and kind of go back and forth and play on all the different slides. But then there's also a helium balloon, and yes, I did say helium. It is a tethered helium balloon. It's called Up, Up and Away to give you a ride 480 feet above the island, which gives you amazing views to take some great photos. And if the thrill side is not your cup of tea, then you can mosey on over to the chill side of the island. And this is where you can relax in one of the many beaches. It's spread out, so I promise you, you will never have to fight for a chase lounge or an umbrella. So if you want to sit on the beach and read a book, you can do that. If you want to take a dip in our freshwater lagoon pool or swim up to the swim up bar, we have that there for you as well. But then earlier this year, we also added onto the island and created what we call our Cocoa Beach Club. And that's a little bit more of the luxury side, where it is a private beach club. There's some upscale dining there. There's an infinity pool, and it's also where you will find our over-the-water floating cabanas with concierge service. So again, I promise you there is something on this island for everyone, whether you want a thrill day or a chill day. Now there's food options, again, all over the island, so you won't go hungry there either, I promise you. But the great thing about Perfect Day is that if you purchase the beverage package on board the ship, it carries through out onto the island. And if you purchase the Wi-Fi package, that carries on out to the island as well. So lots of fun things to do at Coco Cay. And then wrapping up here a little bit is talking about really healthy cruising. And we've always kept safety of our guest and crew number one, and we will remain as such as we enter back into service. Now here I have the 5 keys to healthy cruising. This is something that we've always had pre-COVID. We've always kept our ships in ship shape. We've always been compliant with the World Health Organization and the CDC. We've tripled efforts when viruses have made their rounds. We've had screening, we always had medical on board, and we've always asked our guests to play a part by washing their hands and having sanitizing stations throughout the ship. But now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation, this Monday, we just announced our Healthy Sail panel. So we're going to take this even further. And now I want to talk a little bit about meeting these experts and who they are. So this is a diverse team that consists of globally recognized professionals in the area of science and public health, with a variety of backgrounds touching on medical practice and research, infectious diseases, biosecurity, hospitality, and marine operations, all with concentrations directly relevant to the COVID-19 pandemic. The panel is chaired by Governor Michael Leavitt, who is also the former Secretary of the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and also Dr. Scott Gottlieb, the former Commissioner of the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Together, they co-panel the Healthy Sail panel, which consists of 11 individuals, 7 of which are notable health experts, plus 2 cruise line leaders specializing in maritime operations. Now, the establishment of this Healthy Sail panel is one step closer for us to return to service, and we really are excited to have this prestigious panel of experts backing our brand, but more importantly, backing the entire cruise industry. Together, we look forward to illustrating our commitment to the health and safety of our guests, our crew, and the communities we visit. So I highly encourage all of you to review the panel's backgrounds and areas of expertise. They bring a wealth of knowledge and experience to the table. I think you'll all be impressed, as I was when I was reading their biographies. You can get that information through any of your local AAA travel advisors, or you also can visit us at royalcaribbean.com for that information. And I'll just end on, please talk to your AAA agent, start planning that next vacation, and we will certainly have a lot more information with our healthy protocols in the weeks to come. And Royal Caribbean can't wait to seeing you all on board.
Thank you, Lisa. Gorgeous, gorgeous photographs too. And I realized I'm very hungry looking at all the dining options.
Well, good. So I did my job then. I whet your appetite, right, to take another cruise and think about all the amazing things that you do when you sail.
You did a great job of that. Thank you. And honestly, your panel of experts, very, very impressive. I'm sure it certainly gives our members peace of mind to think about all the work that's being done by those panelists. So now we are going to introduce Ron Golaski, who is the Associate Vice President from Celebrity Cruises. And Ron, thank you so much for being here with us today. Do you have any tokens, anything that you want to share with us from, you don't have a bobblehead of you, do you, Ron?
I actually have one, but I have it in the office and not home. So
okay. Well, next time.
Ron. Yeah, absolutely. I will bring it all.
Ron, thank you, though. Can you share with us some of the new undertakings at Celebrity and what our Celebrity cruisers will find on board when you set sail again?
Absolutely, my pleasure, and thank you so much. And then, as Lisa mentioned, I'm going to talk about the panel a little as well, because it's part of the Royal Caribbean group of products is that panel. I know Royal Caribbean likes to put their name first, but we are a family, so fighting sisters, but it's a great brand, and I'll get into that a little as well. But as Lisa said, we can't wait. Unfortunately, the news that you've seen about cruise ships was 4 months ago, nothing more recent. So hopefully between Lisa's, myself, and then John's at the end, Charles was fantastic, you'll realize that cruising is positive, and I'm going to show you some numbers of what that means as well. So if we can move to the next slide, I'm ready to go then. Thank you. Forget what the next one is now. Oh, so I'm going to quickly go through a brand update very fast on that, but really most of my presentation is about looking ahead of where we look for the future and what's the safety as well on board that we have with Celebrity Cruises. So first, and nobody on the panel has to wish us a happy anniversary. I mean, you don't have to sing it or anything, but it's the 30th year for Celebrity Cruises. And because our crew that's still on board has some extra time on their hands, they were able to put happy 30th in the windows of the rooms that are unfortunately unoccupied at this time. So this was taken a few weeks ago. On our ships, we actually, all of our captains were trained on how to fly a drone as well. So they get some good videos and images for the guests to show on board as well of the island. So it's pretty cool. So from the 30th year with Celebrity Cruises, what's great is Celebrity is not only about a cruise experience, but we feel really strong about our brand, about being all inclusive, the diversity we touch, the sustainability that we have for the environment. So, you know, when we show about what our highlights are for the 30 years, we don't just speak to what are the cruise ships, what have we done in the cruise line, but some of the really ones that stand out, which are important, especially today more than ever. 2014, the first female CEO was introduced to the cruise industry, which is Lisa Lutoff-Perlo, who is our leader currently as well, and she is absolutely incredible. And then 1 year later, she hired the first female U.S. American captain, which was a big milestone because as all of you who've cruised who are on this, it's not very often you hear a woman's voice when they pick up on the phone and go through the muster drills with you. So it's fantastic. Since 26% I believe of our fleet are female captains now, which is absolutely fantastic. So diversity is a key with our brand. And then just a few as well as Malala, which many of you have heard about over the years. It was our godmother of our most recent Edge class of ships, which talks to you about what we feel is our brand and what's important. You know, some cruise lines pick disc jockeys and we pick Malala. So it kind of tells you a little about the differences of what we're looking for. And last year, which was really cool, was we became a ship that was chosen by Time Magazine as one of the greatest destinations in the world, which is pretty cool when you consider all the places you can go in the world. So, and then this year we had our first all-female crew. Unfortunately, that happened in March when the world was talking about other things at the time, so we didn't get a lot of press on that. But that's 30 years with Celebrity. We're really proud of it. And like I said, we're not only about cruising, as we're about what's doing right for the world. And Beyond Borders is has been our tagline for a few years now, so we're a little ahead of the curve on that one. So the next thing with Celebrity that really jumps out is I'm going to show you a few things about. So people right now have a perception that people are not booking cruises, and to be honest with you, nothing could be further from the truth. We are seeing a very large surge in the last few weeks and months, actually. One thing to remember is when we're talking about numbers here, and I don't know how often this has been out in public yet, but all the cruise lines are looking at capacity limits when we come back to sail. So, you know, right now, Charles had mentioned earlier, I believe September 15th is the date that we really hope that we're back in the water with guests sailing. And we're looking at capacity constraints for the first few months. So at Celebrity, and I believe the whole Royal family of products, we're looking at about 50% capacity. So when we say, you know, when we cut off bookings, it doesn't mean that our ship's full or we're over capacity. It means that we're at 50%. We think that's comfortable. So we're going to be sailing probably the first few months out of this at 50 to 60%, and really up till June of next year, looking more into the 75% range. So, you know, when people talk about social distancing, first off, the space that's on these cruise ships is incredible. There's, if you want to be busy or you don't want to be busy, there's spots. But the reality is we're going to be sailing at a lot lower capacity just to make people feel comfortable out of the bubble and when we start. So if you're in any of these states, Florida, California, Texas, we love you because you're booking about 35% more right now than last year. So most of the bookings obviously are for 2021. We are ahead of pace for Alaska and Europe next summer. more than any other year in our industry. So for the perception of nobody is cruising or booking cruises, unfortunately, no one is cruising right now, but the reality is strongly. And families are really booking. People have had a gap now. They missed the summer of vacation, so they're making sure that they're set up for next year as well. So not only is obviously deal seekers are always out there, but we're experiencing a lot more bookings than cancellations, and that wasn't something we could have said back in March when the pandemic started. So good news for all of you looking to cruise. You're going to have some great friends that you're going to meet on board. So really, the other thing I wanted to talk about too is the perceptions out there that most of the people who are booking now were previously booked, and then they're going to use their future cruise certificate for a future, to book again. But from our standpoint, over 61% of our bookings over the last 3 weeks are new bookings. So those people may have sailed with us in the past or may not have, but they did not have a sailing booked that was supposed to sail this year. So that's great news for the AAA travel advisors, and better news for the guest out there is there's a lot of people that believe it and know it. Those who have cruised in the past realize that cruising is very safe. We are as clean as possible. The reason you hear of anything on a cruise ship is we have to report things that happen on a cruise ship. If something happens at a Disney hotel or a Marriott hotel in Salt Lake City, none of them have to report it like a cruise line does. So it's the reason CNN, for example, loves the cruise lines is we're open and transparent. So if you hear something, that's one of the big reasons why is cruise lines report it. So again, 61% is new bookings, 15% are people that booked with us, but unfortunately we had to cancel the sailings over the summer. And then we have something called lift and shift is if you book, we give you the comfort of knowing that, if you look like you're not going to sail this year or you feel uncomfortable, we'll let you lift that sailing and book it on the same thing for next year as well. So you can see bookings are strong. Caribbean, Europe, and Alaska are by far our biggest ports that we're booking right now. So the next one as well is, I guess the biggest thing is people are going to be asking, are cruise lines listening? We 100% do probably I think Charles mentioned 33 cruise lines in North America. There is not one of them that's not doing a survey right now, not one of them that's not doing everything they can to make sure they're listening to the guests. So these are a lot of the things that we're looking at. So when Charles had mentioned earlier about the protocols, Lisa mentioned about the panels, we have all the data we need about what are the concerns of the guests that are out there, and we will overcome every concern that you have there. And what's great about the cruise industry is, a lot of people look at us as competitors, but we truly are partners, because not one of us want to see any cruise ship with any health issues on board, because when it hits one of us, unfortunately, cruise lines somehow get lumped together. So we want to make sure everybody knows that we're in this together. So whatever that panel of experts comes up with, the Royal Caribbean group of products, we are sharing that with the entire industry. CLIA is getting everybody's plans, and we're sharing them because we're to see who has the best practices in the cruise industry, and we're going to compare them. It's not a marketing ploy for the cruise industry, it's a safety ploy, and we're all on the same team for that, which is fantastic. So, and then the next one, I'm just going to go a little about some of those protocols and our comeback. So if we could slide from that one. I think I talk fast with the slides. But these are the key areas, and Lisa mentioned a little earlier as well, but we are looking at all the prevention about, when people come on board, what pre-screening would we have, would there be temperature checks, etc. We already had a touchless service in Fort Lauderdale when we rolled out the Edge class that you actually, it's optical scan of your eyes, and that's how they knew who you were. So there wasn't even an exchange of a passport when we had our Edge class rolled out. So we're already well ahead of the curve in the cruise industry with that. Again, the healthy protocols, new technology, there's metals that for an elevator, if you touch it, there are no germs that transmit on that. So it's the reason you're seeing a lot of the cruise lines wait more for what their healthy protocols are is because as you hear every day, the CDC changes what they think's going on. There's new technology that's out there, whether it's cleanliness, sanitation, or for the protocol testing. So we're waiting till everyone kind of figures it out, and then we're going to come up with what we're going to spend our money on it and do what's right for the customer. And then also too is the guest experience at the destinations as well. As we know you're there to travel to some other areas as well. What's great about us, Miami Beach, for example, just closed down. I think the hotels again. I know they closed the beaches over the weekend. So if you were going on vacation there, they're kind of done. What's great about a cruise ship, and it was the same thing if there's a hurricane, we just sail somewhere else. If Jamaica says we're not taking cruise passengers now. We'll take you to Grand Cayman. So cruise ships are a move, which is fantastic because it allows us to take you to the best, safest places that are there as well, which is fantastic. So the next one is I had mentioned earlier that we're really a team in the industry. What's great about this is there's going to be a passing grade. So CDC is going to say, okay, here are the standards that you have to hit to be ready. And that's not just for the cruise lines. That's happening at hotels, airlines, and everyone. And what's great about our brands, and we really feel it's all the brands, whether it's the Carnival family or NCL or the others, we're all trying to get an A+ on this one. So this is not one that you put a passing grade like high school John Chernesky with Princess that you put on your refrigerator and put a C and you're proud of it. We're looking for an A+ from all the cruise lines for our report card for the cruises. And Lisa took this one earlier. I thought I coordinated that with her, but I must have messed up. But you can go through this one. This is the healthy sail. I just wanted to remind you, is when Lisa mentioned it's the Royal Caribbean Group, that's Silver Sea, Azamara Cruise Lines, Celebrity Cruise Lines, and Royal Caribbean. So we're all part of that healthy panel, and we did team up with NCL. So a couple on this that stood out. So they had a press conference about this. Some things that really stood out are the quotes that you have there. So you could read them on your own, I'm sure. But the one that I liked the most was, is we really could be safer than these other places that people are going. When you go to the hotels, you go to the restaurants, they all kind of execute their same thing, where the cruise lines, as Charles said earlier, the CDC works with this on what are the minimum standards for a cruise line. So we are going to be doing a lot more than the minimum. So feel confident whatever cruise line you go on of the CLIA brand, because CLIA is an incredible association and holds us accountable, that you are going to be safe on that cruise ship once we actually start sailing with the guests in the near future. So just a few more here. And not only is it from the individual, as Lisa showed, people travel in solo, they travel with multi-gen, but for group travel as well, we're looking at every part of our ship. So if you do have a group travel, whether it's, a family reunion or an incentive trip or anything like that, we're looking at all the spaces. So if you have cocktail parties, what will that now look like? What will be our capacity limits in the theater now? The type of shows that are out there. Disney just announced a lot of their protocols today. We look at everything that's out there and then just make sure for the cruise industry, we take it a little step further than all these other ones you're seeing. And then we're re-entering with the best hardware. I think what you're going to find with the cruise ships, I mentioned capacity, is it's not an on-off switch. So if we do, as Charles mentioned, September 15th, if we start sailing it again, you're not going to see every ship in the water on September 16th. We're all looking to go out, kind of like a dimmer switch is a few ships here, make sure we all have it down, then a few ships the next month, then we'll show up for the next thing. So we're going to be taking all the ships out in stages instead of all at once. So I just want to be clear on that, that it's not an on-off switch for that. And then you can move to the next as well. And unfortunately, our Celebrity Apex, our newest ship, rolled out in April of this year, but it still has not seen anyone that does not work for the company on that ship. So we can't wait till somebody who we actually designed and built a ship for actually sails with it, with you, our guest of AAA. So, and then just a couple more here is our crew. There's been a lot in the media about the crew. I think it's like 3% of the crew of all the family of Royal Caribbean products is still on the ship. And it is 100% because the countries are not accepting people flying into their countries or transporting. So it's not because the cruise ship has anyone as hostage. Unfortunately, it's some of these countries don't do it, and we're doing all we can to make sure the crew's happy, everybody's healthy on board. It's probably the safest place in the world right now is to be on a cruise ship because they haven't seen anyone for a few months here. So our crew misses you. They can't wait to welcome you guys all back as well. So, and our theater, I had to show one commercial looking picture this is our main theater. So I'm sure you'd love to see that in person as well. And last one that's about the Apex is our godmother. I would say her name, but I know I would say it wrong. So I wanted to just make sure that I say she's the founder and CEO of Girls Who Code. So it's on our ships for our children's program. We may not have a rock climbing wall, a water slide, and some of the other things, but we do have incredible STEM program on board. Not every kid wants to do the wild adventures. So we do cater to a different child on board, and you can go, there's coding, there's robotics, a lot of cool things that are on board for different children. So from Celebrity Cruises, I have this one and then just two afters. We really want to thank all the guests of AAA Travel. Celebrity absolutely loves the AAA Travel Advisors because they are probably the most informed that are out there. They are incredible with understanding all the different cruise lines there, all the different changes of policies that are out there. They love to take care of their guests and protect them. But AAA is an incredible brand, so we appreciate you guys on the call today. And then just two slides on the moving forward. The comeback is always greater than the setback. And then last one that we have there, and we'll move to John, is a lot's gone on in the past is we at Celebrity are focusing on the windshield now and not the rear view mirror. So we recommend the same for you is whatever you think of cruising, if you've cruised with us before, remember that experience, not what you saw on TV, and look through the windshield moving forward instead of the rear view mirror, and things are going to be great. So really appreciate it, AAA. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ron. And, you know, our members absolutely love Celebrity Cruises. It's great to hear of all your wonderful work. And happy 30th. That's really exciting. And it was just great to look at all the milestones through the years and what a great girl power culture you have in your organization.
We do. Yeah, I have two daughters myself, so she loves to see those slides as well. So thank you.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. So happy 30th. And now we are going to move on to Magnificent Man with his own bobblehead. So welcome, John Chernesky, the Senior Vice President of North American Sales and Marketing at Princess Cruises. He is here with us today. John, thank you for joining us again. It was great to speak to you a few weeks ago. We love having you here. You have the bobblehead handy to show off?
No, I never bring it with me. Never. Yes, I have a ridiculous bobblehead.
I know. I put Ron on the spot. Now we know Ron has one too.
Yeah.
But John, as we look forward to September and after, can you talk to us a little bit about the changes being made on board the Princess ships?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And just want to say thank you. It's great to be here. And I always like to say keep calm. I'm wearing the T-shirt to represent that we should all keep calm and call a travel advisor. As Charlie mentioned before, you know, the value and the service that you will get from your amazing travel advisor or travel agent. They kind of go by both names. We're transitioning to travel advisor, especially at AAA. We value so much everything that we do together as a team. So on this next slide, you'll see that actually last month was National Travel Advisor Day. And so I took the liberty of filming a little video in my backyard, and my bobblehead was in the pool. And I have no idea where the bottle of Tito's came from. That had nothing to do with what I was drinking. It was just a mix-up. But it was really about thanking travel advisors for all that they do, because especially now during these challenging times with cancellations and rebookings, there's a lot of work that's going in and giving you comfort. And I would say the hardest job that travel advisors have right now, and this is why AAA is such a great organization, is the sharing of best practices and policies of what does this brand represent versus that, this airline, you name it, and trying to keep track of everything that's happening out there. So kudos to them for all that you all do at AAA. I just want to start my presentation here with just a recommendation that we should all make time. I talked about this last time. It's so important to unwind. This is for not only our AAA travel advisor partners, but all of the consumers who are listening in. Make sure you take time during these very stressful times to be kind to yourself, get out there, get some exercise, get some fresh air, connect with old friends or family, virtually do a bunch of Zoom calls, call them up, whatever, get some exercise, get some sleep. I spoke to Dr. Bruce, who helped design the Princess Luxury Bed, board certified sleep specialist, and sleep is so important. If you're not getting sleep, your immune system goes down, makes you more susceptible to getting sick. So you need to get that sleep. And last but not least, go on a news diet. If you're the person at home that has the news on 24/7 in the background, that's a bad idea, because actually it's recommended by our medical friends that you only consume the news twice a day, no more, because it will kind of suck the soul right out of you, right? It's kind of a negative situation. So don't watch the news all day. Okay, with that, I also talk about the power of anticipating a trip. And, you know, I look to validate my own personal feelings on this, and I stumbled across a couple of research studies that were done that said people derive most of their happiness out of a vacation that's coming up by anticipating it rather than experiencing it. Part of that has to do with the anticipation is trouble-free. There's no flight delays or bad weather or, God, why am I traveling with this person? I don't even like them. It's that nirvana state that you're dreaming about. And so we all need something to look forward to. So if you don't have a trip planned yet for 21, 22, later this year, whenever it might be, get something on the books. Feel free to book a Princess Cruise, or anybody here on the panel, just get something that you can look forward to. You fall asleep at night and you think about that trip coming up, and your body releases an endorphin of happiness. And so it's that free happiness. Every time you think about the trip, you don't have to pay any more, you're getting that boost. But in order to look forward to a trip, all the questions we're getting, as Ron showed, our research says the same thing. People want to know, what are your health and safety standards? Now, a lot of this is still nebulous. It's being worked on. This is hot off the press for Princess, and I can tell you this is not finalized. It's a draft form, but I wanted to share it with you today because I think it's important. And it mirrors pretty closely what Ron was saying in terms of there's 6 main categories and areas that we're focusing on. So the health screening, illness surveillance, and health education, not only for our crew, but of course for guests, and making sure that we have rapid response plans if something does happen on the ship. The environmental sanitation on board. Already we are the cleanest place you can imagine because of the standards that we live by. And this is a stat I heard the other day, and Charlie might be able to back me up on this later on, that the cruise industry gets a bad rap for norovirus. And every time there's a norovirus outbreak on a ship, it makes headline news. The reality is that norovirus is not just limited to cruise ships. It's a worldwide problem. And then of the cases of, I'm looking at my notes to make sure I get it correct, of the cases of norovirus, 1 out of 4,000 takes place on a ship. 1 out of 12 takes place ashore. So we have had a bad rap for that. And so already we're operating from a very clean platform, and it's going to get even more. Now we're looking at new technologies, but the last thing any of us are going to do right now is commit to one because it could change next week, next month. And so we are very closely watching this space. Last on this slide of guest experiences is really looking at what are the physical distancing, not social distancing. We don't want to socially distance, we want to physically distance. That's what's important. And how do we support that on board? How do we manage hand wash stations, hand sanitizers, and providing health information to our guests? These are the things that we are focused on. In the last 3 categories, it's about healthcare. The staff that we have on board, our medical centers are staffed with doctors and nurses, and they will be trained to ensure they know all the best protocols for infection control, and that there's critical care capabilities on board. We're aligning with our shore partners if we ever had to, medevac somebody off, of course, that there's going to be some sort of testing capabilities on board, that's very clear. We just don't know the frequency or how that's going to be done. And of course, all of our crew will be trained. Ventilation systems is kind of a hot topic right now because there's still some debate about whether this is airborne or not. And we'll let the medical experts come with their final decision on that. I can tell you that after the situation on Diamond Princess in Japan, we actually, because everybody got off the ship, crew and guests alike, we brought a number of forensic scientists and doctors on board, and they scoured the entire ship to see days, weeks later, how did the RNA, which is like the DNA of a virus, where was it? Was it still alive? Did it exist in the air ventilation ducts? Where was it living, or even if it was dead, you can still see it's there. And they didn't find any of it in the ventilation ducts or the ventilation system. That being said, we are looking at introducing some HEPA filters and very advanced filtration into certain areas on the ship that we are believe at this time will have pose more risk. And so that's something that is evolving. That science will evolve. And I mentioned earlier about just partnering with local stakeholders to make sure that, hey, if we know, like Ron said, if there's an outbreak in Jamaica, we're not going to take you to Jamaica. We're going to divert to another port, or God forbid you spend a beautiful day at sea, right? So that the flexibility inherent within our industry is, we believe, a good advantage. So on the next slide, you can see that we are talking with a number of experts. We have been throughout this, and we have convened a summit that's coming up on July 28th, and this is in partnership with the World Travel and Tourism Council. You can all join in if you want. Just go to the website, covidsciencesummit.com. It's open to the public. It's a 3.5-hour summit, so this is buckle in, because get a cup of coffee or a pot of coffee, because it's going to be a lot of information. But it's really about engaging experts in a variety of fields and having great, robust conversation to discuss the latest science, medical evidence, and where things are heading, and then how does that then apply to us. And so some of the topics that will be covered in these panels: epidemiology, transmission, screening and testing, therapeutics, practical risk mitigation. I don't even understand what half of those words mean, but I can tell you the people on our panel sure do. This next slide shows some of the experts that we're partnering with. And for sure, they have some pretty good credentials. Dr. Rashbash, 2017 Nobel laureate, Dr. Schreiber at Harvard, Dr. Zinn at Stanford. Now, Dr. Cahill, don't think he's a dummy just because I haven't put his credentials on there. He's the founder and managing partner of New Path Management. He has an MD and a PhD from Duke University, so pretty good people. Now, the beauty of these panels and these conversations is that there's a sharing within the industry. Ron mentioned it. When we find, and we're already, this is ongoing, this isn't something new. When we find a best practice or something that's relevant, we share it with the Royal Caribbean families, the Norwegian Cruises family. Everybody in the industry is about sharing because a rising tide lifts all ships, and we don't want to be brought down by one incident because one brand didn't know about it and wasn't implementing. We want to make sure, much like norovirus, we approach it consistently. And then I'll mention real quick about medallion class. So we've launched Princess Medallion class on most of our ships now. It's coming up. This is the medallion, if you can see that. It's small. It goes in your pocket, or you can wear it on your wrist. And here's some screenshots of me having experienced it. And when you talk about physical distancing, the medallion is perfectly suited for that because, I mean, not that you would want to just stay in your cabin the whole time, but you can literally have anything on the ship delivered to you using the Ocean Now app to come to your cabin. And so it's really just something that I think we're excited to have. But even if a ship doesn't have medallion class, we will be ensuring that the safest protocols are carried forward for sure. And then I just want to wrap up by saying thank you to AAA. It is certainly a winning combination. Our partnership, Princess was awarded the 2018 AAA Partner of the Year. And the last 2 years, 2018 and 2019, we've awarded AAA our Founders Award, our very best travel agency partner that we work with. Now, I just want to note that we've given them 2 awards, and they've only given us 1. So not that I'm counting or anything, but there seems to be a discrepancy. But I just want to say thank you so much. Here is my bobblehead to say thank you to everyone at AAA. We appreciate the partnership, and the support is amazing. And thanks to everybody else on the panel as well.
Thank you, John. So one question before you leave us. Yeah. And I'm pretty confident that you addressed this already, but when you spoke in terms of physical distancing, will Princess limit the amount of passengers in capacity on the ships?
Yeah, I mean, Ron talked about limitation, and I think the answer is I don't know for sure, but I'll be very surprised if we're at 100%. I think there's going to be some staggering, but we have to wait to see what the experts say, and you know, based on the ship size and the public room layouts, and it might vary by ship. So there's a lot of questions that are unanswered, but I think I would agree with Ron that there's going to be some level of reduction. We just don't know what yet.
Okay, thank you so much. And this is actually a member question regarding Royal Caribbean. So what will the onboard buffets look like? Because, you know, like we said, this is very important to cruisers. You are going to keep those. How are you going to make them safer?
Well, we heard that loud and clear from our loyalty guests and our repeat cruisers that it is definitely something that they look forward to when they cruise with us. So we are definitely keeping our buffet. So that is a definite. It will probably look a little bit different than what we've all been accustomed to. And we are working with the panel of experts now on what is that actually going to be. So we don't have specifics to share right now, but we will in the next several weeks, and we'll have all that information out to you. But they're staying. We will have buffets. That's the most important. We'll probably see something like the servers serving you rather than you serve yourself. Anticipate some of that happening, but we don't have the full details quite yet.
That makes sense. All right, you heard it here first. The buffets are staying, guys. Okay. And our last question, because I know we're running out of time. When is the right time to book, guys? I'm going to open this up to all of you because there seem to be such great deals on the market right now. So what is your advice for our members in terms of when to book?
Yeah, I'll start out. This is Ron. So I mentioned that there's obviously a lot of people are booking right now. If you're booking for next summer, I would definitely recommend sooner rather than later, especially if there are capacity limits, because we're really doing fantastic in Europe and Alaska bookings, and that's all the brands. It's not just the celebrity brand. There's going to be a huge uptick in cruising when people see all of our protocols and realize that we were safe and we're safer moving forward. So I would highly recommend it. As far as for Caribbean, you know, it's a fluid move. You know, you can book for the fourth quarter of this year. Christmas holidays are probably real safe, and definitely Q1 of next year for Caribbean as well.
Yeah, clearly you want to book now so you have something to look forward to. I talked about the value of that anticipation, and we all need something to look forward to. And we all have policies in place that if something changes, if we cancel the voyage, you're going to be protected. You're going to get bonus offers to rebook. You know, you have a way to, with all of us have a different policy, but it's really saying you have an ability to cancel at the last minute. So there's so little skin in the game and financially for you to book right now that you really should put something out there. And as Ron says, you know, Europe is booking well for Princess, as is Alaska, and based on capacity and the number of ships, we hope to have our full fleet. But there's so many unknowns that you kind of there's no reason to wait. Put it that way.
Right.
And Diana, it's Lisa. I'll just add to that, to book further out makes more sense as well, because what most consumers don't realize is that you can pick the category and the ship and the accommodations that you want. And a lot of times when you wait last minute, you're going to book on what's available as opposed to what you want, because a lot of the suites and the balcony cabins, they actually sell out first.
Sure.
And Diana, if I may add, one of the things that I always like to say that the time to book a cruise, the best time to book a cruise is the moment you feel inspired to book a cruise. There's no mistake to be made. And quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen, you're all here on this webinar. Well, think about how many travel webinars you attend, maybe one every 2 or 3 months or so. Your trusted travel agent at AAA Travel attends webinars 2 to 3 times, maybe 4 or 5 times a week. They're the ones that are keeping track of all of the great deals for you, and they're the ones that understand all the protocols. They're the ones that are learning night and day what every one of these cruise lines has to offer you, and they're the ones that are able to keep track of it. And what's most important for you to understand is all of the tremendous value and services and the expertise that these professionals offer are available to you at no additional cost. So the same amount that you would pay the cruise line directly, you will pay for your cruise to a AAA travel advisor. So there's no risk to you in doing that. The reason why it matters to CLIA as the Worldwide Cruise Industry Trade Association is because we know, based on all the data that we have, that you will be even more satisfied, if that's to be believed. You will walk away from your cruise having booked through a travel advisor with greater satisfaction, and that's what we want. We want you to get the best value and the most satisfaction out of your cruise travel experience. Thank you.
And it's talking from a supplier. Nobody pushes us as hard as AAA to make sure the members get great benefits. So you all get AAA vacations, you get member benefits. It's incredible the value and the extra amenities you get by booking through your AAA travel advisor.
Indeed.
For that. Very well said. And thank you, Charles, for all the great work that CLIA is doing for the industry. This really is the epitome of teamwork makes the dream work for the cruise industry. So thank you all. You're all so knowledgeable. Unfortunately, that's all we have time for tonight. Closing in on 5 o'clock here, but we appreciate everyone who joined, especially thank you, our panelists, for your transparency, your honesty, and the really important information that you've shared. So you've given us great peace of mind, and just there's our website right there. If anyone has further questions or would love to connect with a travel agent, just visit us at AAA.com/travel. And thank you all so much again. Have a great evening and see you on the ships.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.